Hello everyone, and welcome to my most recent of catch-ups. As you can see, I'm unfortunately not bankside today. I've got a few things I needed to get done, and to drop the kids off at school this morning. I've also got them up pick up as well at 3, so it kind of really shortens my day, and I find I haven't actually got an awful lot of time to get anything else of note done. So I thought I'd do a little catch-up. Basically touch on the last 4 months of last season, and how so far how this season is going so far, and what I look to do over the course of the next 8.5, 9 months of this season. So back end of last season, after my last catch up, where if some of you remember, I actually had a take whilst I was actually recording, which is not something that I was expecting considering how tough the Blackwater had been for me all season. That fish weighing at £7 is not necessarily the size of the fish I wanted, but a barbel off the Blackwater, given how difficult it's been for me for the last couple of seasons, was a sight for sore eyes. And as the season progressed, I did visit the Blackwater plenty more times and have very, very little in terms of returns. In the back end of the season, I did manage to catch quite a few chub, some not too far off the £6 mark. But that was it. I devoted my time for the barbel predominantly across the Bristol Avon and the Blackwater. Bristol Avon again, I managed a few barbel in November. Again, best I managed was 9.6. Had quite a few 5, 6 and 7 pounders, but didn't manage that double. So that is back on my radar once again this season. I think I'm pretty close to the Bristol Avon, I really do. I got a sneaky feeling that if I just keep doing what I'm doing, that fish is going to come. And I know the Bristol Avon is not easy, so I shouldn't have that level of what's what I'm looking for. I shouldn't have that level of confidence that I do, but I just thought it's going to click. I really, really do. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm catching fish, I'm finding fish, I know they're there, so it's just simply a case of keep going and my time will come, because that's all it is. My time simply just hasn't come for it, so I'm going to carry on and see what happens. I did have one trip up to Yorkshire towards the back end of the season. I targeted the Yorkshireroos. I planned to do 3 days and 2 nights up there right at the back end of the season, but we had quite a nasty storm that rolled in, some freezing cold overnight temperatures, and the Yorkshireroos that I targeted shot up in height overnight and made fishing quite difficult. I did manage 7 barbel on that trip, best £7.9 with a couple of other 7s thrown in for good measure, but unfortunately, again, not a double that I was hoping for, but that's the way it goes sometimes. You're going to go onto these rivers like the Yorkshireroos for the first time, quite often actually going to be putting the feelers out, trying to work out what it is that you're going to do. Yes, you could have fished 30, 40 different other rivers like I have. Every river has its own little anomalies that you've got to try and work out, those nuances that some rivers have and some rivers don't. So it's just try and work out how to fish for them. Do you fish big lumps of meat? Do you fish really small baits like 4, 6 and 8 mil pellets? Do you fish static? Do you roll? Do you trot? There's so many different tactics and techniques that actually you can deploy, and quite often with some rivers there will be one that will stand out above the others, which I still don't fully understand after all these years. You can go onto the Itchin on a Bristol Avon, they seem to love really big baits. You go on to some of these other rivers and actually they're much easier to target and catch using smaller baits and using a more steady approach, as opposed to going there like a bull in a china shop with a lump of meat an inch and a half square. So sometimes these barbel are very strange creatures, but if you find them, you do tend to catch them. And I know a lot of you guys that will watch this will certainly concur with that. Going back towards the back end of last season though, apart from that trip up to Yorkshire, I did predominantly just stay on the Bristol Avon and Blackwater. Neither of the rivers gave me what I was after, so actually finished the season with just 2 chalked off, which was the River Rother, which is based up in Yorkshire. Which, if I'll just show you a picture, this was the fish that I managed off the Rother, which is a lovely fish weighing at £12 1 ounce. That was a sight for sore eyes, considering that only about 6 or 7 hours before I was joined by Steve May, and while we were chatting, my rod absolutely ripped off, and I knew that it was a barbel, and I feared that it was going to be my one and only chance to catch one off of there. Thankfully, towards dusk, the rod ripped off, and once again latched into a barbel, but this time it wasn't so fortunate to get away. A brilliant fight, big lump of meat, and sometimes that's all you need. So what I did, bearing in mind I was up there already in Yorkshire, I decided, was I going to go further north to go and fish like the Ouse, or go onto the Swale, or go onto the Wharf? You know, I thought, actually, do you know what, no, let me just drop down a little bit. And then I dropped onto the River Idle, which is not as well known, and it has its issues in terms of presenting a bait. It's not impossible, but it's bloody difficult to do. And if any of you who have fished a river, you will certainly understand what I mean. So it's not a sort of river that you can go there and it's simple, because it's really not. There are certain aspects that you have to get around, and swans, because it's so shallow, swans constantly on you, so you have to be very careful of that. You know, other external factors. Most of the pathways up there are very busy with dog walkers and just general rambling, so it can be not necessarily the most of settling and chilled out settings that you can find, but nevertheless, you know, if you really stick to it and you make sure that the tactics that you deploy are going to catch fish, and you find them, you know, you can catch fish like this. And this was my Idle double, weighing at 10 pound 3 ounces. So I was super chuffed with that fish. I think I had a couple before that were like 6s and 8s, so I was so over the moon in order to have caught that fish, and that would have made that 2 doubles in 24 hours. So I was so chuffed with that. And yeah, to do 2 rivers in under 24 hours, quite often that's actually how it seems to pan out. If I look across my records over the 30 rivers that I've chalked off so far, actually quite often you do find that they come in like pairs. It's really strange, like the Dern and the Don, they came in a pair on the same day actually, and I nearly done 3, because I went to the Wharf the following day and had a 9.6, a 9.5. So it's very strange how it all pans out like that, but I don't know whether it's the conditions are perfect for barbel and just seem to get it right. I'm not entirely sure. But that's the reason why we love fishing, isn't it? Because there are certain anomalies that you just cannot pinpoint, and that's the reason why we love it. You know, there's still elements of mystery in there. But also, what happened after that 10-3 is I had continued fishing upstream, and on my way back to the car, thinking I've done my double off the Idle, I thought, well, let's head back to the car and then let's go revisit somewhere else on the way back home. And I saw what turned out to be this beauty weighing 10 pound 6 ounces. I saw this hanging mid-river as I was heading back to the car, and I just thought to myself, you know, it's an opportunity that I just cannot pass up. Got it feeding on Robin Red pellets, 6 and 8 mils. I had a single 8 mil Robin Red pellet on a 3 feet, sorry, not 3 meter, on a 3 foot fluorocarbon hook link with a size 12 hook. And the bait was probably only down there about 2 minutes. This fish just came straight upstream, hoovering up the pellet, to which one of mine was within that feeding spell that it had. So yeah, this one weighed 10 pounds 6 ounces, so it actually bettered my Idle double on that trip. I had a subsequent visit to the Idle as I was coming back from another northern river on the Wharf. Unfortunately, I managed well, a caught barbel off of there, but not a double. I had a 9.6, which bettered my previous record on there by an ounce. And on the way back home, I thought I'd just give the Idle another go, drop him. And then I had a 10.10. So I managed 3 10s off that river in a space of 2 relatively short trips. So absolutely over the moon. And what was even better as well is that second trip, I was actually with my dad. We went up to the Wharf. Unfortunately, he didn't catch anything off of there. But on our trip back down, and when we jumped onto the Idle, he had some lovely barbel as well. I had other fish up to, I think it was 9, 10 as well as a few 8s. So yeah, me and my dad really filled our boots, and it was just a case of just persevering with the vast amount of weed flow. And I find that if you can try and block that out of your mind and just try and focus on what it is that you're doing, after a while you do work out patterns on how you can actually target the fish and actually keep a bait out there long enough. So that was my 2 doubles for last season done. I did jump onto the River Wye to have a little bit of a jolly up with a friend of mine, and whilst he was fishing further upstream, I went into a peg that I've wanted to catch some barbel off of, but never actually been that successful for one reason or another. But I did manage 2 fish, one weighing 813, and then I had this beauty weighing at £10 4 ounces. I was actually really chuffed to have caught a double off of the Wye during the daytime, because you know, the colours of them fish in the evening are just washed out when you take the pictures, and you just don't get a full appreciation for how nice the Wye barbel looked during the summer and autumn conditions. So to get one during the daytime, I was super chuffed. And I found that the barbel fishing actually on the Wye last season, even though I fished it once, it's probably not a very, very good base to judge this on. But I did find that even that trip that I had, I really struggled. I scaled down my baits, my hook sizes, everything. I managed 2 bites, but yeah, coming away with an 813 and a 10-4, I don't think many people would actually be too disappointed with that return. My mate Mike also did manage a double, weighing at £10, or was it £10 1, I think it was. So absolutely incredible for him to have caught a Wye double after many years of trying. So yeah, and it was well done to Mike as well, and it was a pleasure to have witnessed it as well. So yeah, and that was pretty much my season. It was not the season that I thought it was going to be. I had much higher hopes for a greater return, so let's probably put a little bit more emphasis on this season as to getting a little bit closer to my 40 Rivers benchmark. Yes, it's a target that I haven't actually put a time frame on, but if I'm being brutally honest, actually this season I'd really like to see some serious traction. Probably by the end of this season I'd like to be pretty close to the 40 mark, if not having achieved it by the end of the season. I know it's going to put an awful lot of pressure on me, and it means catching a double more than one a month. That's what it boils down to. So there's going to have to be some serious dominoes to fall in order for me to achieve it. But it gives me a good target, and I think on some of the rivers that I'm yet to still catch off of, that I do stand a good chance. That brings me to the beginning of this season, and I know that the Bristol Avon, the Blackwater, the Kentish Stour are all rivers that I really want to get and chalk off. And I've already made a trip to the Bristol Avon, which unfortunately didn't pay any dividends, but that's just the way it goes. I tend to find when I do catch on the Bristol Avon, I get multiple fish. So I just clearly either wasn't on them or they weren't feeding. So one or the other. It just means I have to go back. Bristol Avon, some of the areas really pretty. Some of the areas tad rough around the edges, but you know, that's the beauty of this challenge. You get to see it all, and that's one of the reasons why I actually wanted to embark on this challenge, simply because I wanted to see more of the country for what I was seeing. So I was going to the Hampshire Avon for roach, going to the Thames for chub, you know, some of the Thames tributaries for chub. Predominantly my barbel fishing was actually pretty local. And I've touched on this before with various other conversations that I've had regarding the 40 Rivers Barbel Challenge, and I just felt that I just wanted to do something a bit different. So I am doing something different, and having caught double figure barbel off of 30 different rivers already, it's an incredible number, and it's an achievement that you know, I will look back upon with complete fondness. But it hasn't been without its trials and tribulations, getting stuck in fields and getting penned in by cattle for hours upon hours. You know, there's been various things that have gone down, broken down on the motorway, snapped gear in the van or the car, and forgetting things at home like leads, forgetting the net. You know, I mean, you just had driven 95 miles, you think, oh no, how on earth have I managed that? But after all these years of fishing, what am I now, 38, so I've been fishing for 33 years, and you can still do bloody stupid things like that. But that's just the way it is, you know. I'm not going to bore you too much longer. Keep your eye out on Drennon's side of things. We've got some fantastic new gear coming out over the course of the next few months. I'm not going to go into too much detail because they haven't done any of the media side of it yet, but there will be some more stuff surrounding the specialist side and the acolyte side, so do keep your eyes peeled for that. As for one of my other sponsors, which would be Dynamite Baits, they've got some fantastic new baits coming out, some for the specimen anglers and also some for the carp as well. You would have seen lots of promotions online in relation to the peppered fruit. I haven't yet myself used it, but got a couple of friends who have, and a few of those also who are within the Dynamite Baits team, and they're absolutely having it off on the waters that they're using them baits on. So if you're not already on it for carp and for other species like chub, I definitely recommend it. On the boilie side of things, at the moment I'm using the hot crab and krill. So I'm using the 15 millers, which I tend to like break up and then PVA them. And I'm also using the hard hookers because unfortunately some of the rivers that I'm fishing have got crayfish problems. And indeed on the Bristol Avon, you do find if you use the standard hook baits, the dace and the roach absolutely hammer you. So using the hard hookers just means that you can present the bait for a lot longer. All of which are available through your local stockists. And I will obviously put little bits up on here as the season goes as well. So if you guys are going to drop in and have a little look around, go on the Dynamite Baits website, go on the Drennon website as well. Their social medias are current as well, so drop on them, give them a follow and find out exactly what it is that's coming out. As for me, I'll be fishing probably tomorrow night through Thursday. Possibly, we'll see what happens. I've got a busy week of work, and then I'm moving my family down to Dorset on Friday. So yeah, it's pretty manic, but I hope everybody has been out and done some fishing already. I hope you've been successful. I will wish you all the best, tight lines, and let's hope that the next time I drop in on here that I would have had some more success, and see whether River 31 actually falls a little bit sooner rather than later, because yeah, I'm looking forward to getting closer to that 40 target. As I said, as the season draws to an end in March, I hope that that figure is getting close to 40, if not already achieved, but we will see. No pressure. Right, guys, best of luck, and we shall catch up soon.